All right, everybody. We have a returning guest, old friend, the original, the one and only head of the Ginger Ninja Nation, Mollie Sperduto. How are you doing?
I am great. Now, this just in, I apparently had a nation.
You know how sometimes when you're watching a television program and they have a friend or family member come up and tell a person that they've been nominated for an Oscar. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
hey,
I see the parallel.
Grandma, why are you here? Baby, I just want to let you know that you're the head of the Ginger Ninja Nation now.
That honestly sounds more like the beginning of a dystopian movie.
All right. Okay. So I was looking for a new script idea, so hold on. Let me write this down. No, we haven't had you. You haven't been here since things like episode 67, and it's a weird thing how some things have changed, some things have not changed. One of the things that has not
Yeah.
changed, people still have crap on their face, have Halloween masks on their face, and I'm just curious: has everything kind of begun to spring back to life performance-wise?
I think so. I think it's beginning to. It's certainly not where it was before all this happened.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, I'm getting a lot of people putting their feelers out, trying to put shows together, even with me with Ginger Ninja, where they're kind of cautiously planning for fall winter, although we don't know what's going to happen then. But um, it people are starting to cautiously move ahead. Where I have hope. Let's put it that way.
Hmm. Because it is just a weird thing. Because every comic that I've had on, I'll be honest with you, any kind of live anybody that I've talked to, they have the same thing, because essentially, obviously, comics can do shows outside,
Right.
but I have yet to see someone break out the Othello. Uh, no, I haven't seen that outside yet. I mean, obviously, people do theater in the park, but I just haven't. The people that I've talked to, I mean, the singers are starting to perform a little bit. You know, the actors are performing a
Yeah.
little bit, and
And I'm
mhm.
the beauty of like musicians and singers though is that I mean it's nice to have an audience, but for them to practice their craft, they don't necessarily need one.
Mhm.
If you're just itching to play guitar and you have nowhere to play it, you can go to your room and play it. It's not the same as having a performance, but things like with comedy, you can't just tell your jokes in front of a mirror.
Mhm.
So there definitely seems to be more of a void there that a lot of comics were struggling to look to fulfill. And some of whom were able to do it with outdoor shows, with virtual shows, but I mean, outdoor shows are pretty much just like indoor shows, but other than that, it's difficult to get that same feeling of performing on a show by doing anything else other than performing on a show.
Mhm. Now I remember I saw a picture on Facebook a long time ago, and you were performing outside. I think it was like on a boardwalk or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Um,
so, so it's not like it's not like you don't have experience doing shows outside.
uh, that to call that a show is putting it lightly. We were just kind of performing on the boardwalk for anyone who would come watch. One of the nights was great. There actually were, it was more in the evening. So there were a lot of people like walking on the boardwalk that just kind of stopped and, like the way the stage was set up at the end, there were railings around where people could just hang out and um, watch the stage for a while. Another time we tried this show during the daytime, and our audience wound up being a bunch of 6-year-olds perched up on the beach on the other side of the stage. And
It was
A
time.
lot of comics don't really have material that caters to 6-year-olds.
It's kind of hard to break out the the Sesame Street puppets.
Yeah.
If you don't have that laying around, nobody has a Sesame Street puppets. Really, really. We can't do our really biting political material in front of these 5-year-olds. No, okay.
And it was even then that was, I think, one of the shows that hammered it home for me that being clean and being for kids are two entirely different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can be clean enough for kids that you can tell jokes that the kids won't ask their parents about on the ride home, but the cleanest comic in the world is not going to entertain kids if they're telling clean material about married life and taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you know, I remember doing something that happened to me a while ago where we were doing a show and it was an Al-Anon meeting and everybody brought their kids and
Oh.
and I was the only one that had clean material, so
Oh, goodness.
Fortunately I was last, but the first guy. So my wife and I are doing some stuff, and we're like, come on, man. It to me that actually made it 50 times funnier because it was just funny watching that up on stage, watching that happen. But
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, because you do fundraisers, and fire halls and places like that too, which I absolutely love those places.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is, and it's like I got one of my best tapes. And by the way, for everybody listening, just so you know, Molly, a third of my audience is like in their early 20s. So when I say tapes, a bunch of them just probably pulled over and Googled.
What is a tape?
You recorded your show on tape?
Like, don't you use that to stick things together?
Bro, why how can you do that, bro? I mean, like, it's like, but it's just one of those things where you record it and it's just a fantastic thing because it looked like an HBO, obviously it was only one camera instead of four, but it looked like an HBO special because, the window was open and you could see the night light. There was 500 people there and wow, and that's what those places are like. And that's why it's a great place to be. When I go to those joints, it's just a fantastic thing. So I know you have to be having a great time doing those.
Oh, I absolutely love them. And they seem to be really appreciative groups too, for the most part too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was just one time at one of the firehouses, just this cute old man just like walked by at the end of the show and just went, "That was such a great night. My ribs are hurting." And it was just so wholesome that I'm like, I wish that might have been like the nicest thing someone said to me in a long time, even though it wasn't really intended to be like a glowing compliment.
Well, first of all, I think you should take it as a compliment. But the other thing is you just have to make sure there wasn't a pause between those two parts of the sentence. Making sure, because if there's a big pause between, that's the funniest show in the world. Pause. In addition to that, my ribs are hurting. Could someone call an ambulance?
Now that you mention it, I'm trying to rewind the tape in my head.
That was the funniest show. My ribs are hurting. Lady, I told you my ribs are hurting. Could you pick me up, please? Could you call 911, please? But that is the weird thing, how something that makes people laugh, it just, especially if you're laughing really, really hard, how it literally just shuts the human being down. Just if you watch a tape of somebody that, like say you go on YouTube and you watch a tape of news anchors who can't stop laughing. And these are people who, in the news tonight, a house was blown up and everything, this, that, and the other. Now I'm going to talk about this pig who has no legs. Look, and he can't stop laughing. And it's just like, you're not used to seeing someone that serious break down, and that's the power of laughing. In fact, I'm pretty sure that your jokes injured that old man.
Oh, man.
And I just want to say, you should apologize to his family.
I should. Oh, well, sir, if you're listening, Mr. Rib Injury, I please accept this as my apology to you and your family.
I would just like to say right now, as his lawyer, I'd like to say that the person was this older gentleman was viciously attacked with punchlines by a small redheaded woman, and this is her picture. I mean, I'm not going to say she's prone to violence, but she calls herself Ginger Ninja. Okay.
Oh man, I whaled myself into this one, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, that's okay, because I think I might get sued in the future because of inspired by the name of your company. I'm going to name my company Coco Kickboxer, just to get things going.
That's a good one.
Even I can imagine that. Oh God, you know what would happen to me if I did that? The phone would ring off the hook with every comic you know and every comic I know, breaking my stones endlessly.
I mean, I don't know. Coco Kickboxer really has a ring to it.
I know. I think, you know what? In fact, if there's anybody listening, don't use Coco Kickboxer. I'm thinking about changing my production company that don't have anymore into Coco Kickboxer. So I think that's exactly what I'm going to do in the future. It's Coco Kickboxer.
That's like there was some time ago. My friend and I were in a very casual band. We never performed live, but we just got together and played a bunch. Mm-hmm. And we called ourselves Face Basement. And we had written a song at one point.
Wait a minute. Repeat that again. You called yourself
Face Basement.
Okay. Okay.
It's a reference to a play called The Pillow Man. Mm. Which is the premise is a author who writes a series of stories that are really morbid, and a lot of them involve like deaths and torture to children. It's the stories are not good. The play itself is more about the writer, but at any rate, Face Basement is one of the titles of his stories, and you can just kind of take it from there. Mm. But it's a cool name. At any rate, and that's how we got the band name. But one of my friends had written a counter song to one of the songs that we were playing at the time, and she leaves me a voicemail to sing the song, and she just to introduce herself, she just goes on my voicemail saying, "Hi, I'm Ass Attic," and so on and so forth. I'm like, that was a really good counter to me. Well done.
You mean, so see, this is what I'm talking about. You take the title of a series of morbid movies. I mean, morbid stories. Okay, and you have Ginger Ninja in your name. I'm telling you right now, that old guy's calling. He's calling, and it's going to.
Yeah.
He's calling. You're just sinking it deeper.
I should definitely do a bit of soul searching on that. But to be fair, all of my name choices do lend themselves to really catchy rival names. So,
well, you just essentially explained you had pretty much a rap battle on your phone. I'm not going to say. Look, if you need an alibi, I just want to let you know right now. If you have to, take care of some business, some kind of drive-by swording. Just let me know up front, and I'll go. Yeah, she was here the whole time. We were recording a third podcast that didn't come out yet, and that's why she was with me the whole time talking. She was not driving by swording people who had the nerve to diss her on the phone, pretty much asking for it. Now, let me ask you this. I saw you. See, I knew you sang, but I mean, how often do you actually do it? Because let's be honest, you got a lot of things going on. You got to perform yourself. You have the company. You have to book 17 billion comics, and then the singing.
Well, I have actually been lucky enough to have a pretty standard opportunity to sing. I am. Here's a great segue to all the morbid stuff that I'm a part of. I am a singer at my church. Mm-hmm. So I work on the weekends as a church cantor, so leading
Ah,
the congregation into song and all that jazz. So um, when I went to um, when I went to school at that same school where the church is connected to, they kind of, I guess, poached the students to find eligible cantors and train them from there. So a bunch of us from even after we had graduated from school came back to continue singing, and then some of us, in our 30s still haven't left.
you know what's funny about this? This is going to sound weird, and I'm going to change the subject just for a moment. You just referenced in our 30s. When I met you originally,
Mm-hmm.
I think you were what, 9 and a half?
Was I allowed to? Would I have been allowed in comedy rooms at that age?
It was just the funniest because you're one of those, and take this as a compliment, okay? One of those
Mm-hmm.
annoying people that look younger than they actually are. So
Oh yeah.
so I remember when you come into the place and I saw you walk in, and it wasn't the first time I saw someone. 'Cause I didn't know you were like in your early 20s. I didn't know. So I'm going, they got a teenager on the show. And I can't say anything because I was a teenager when I started, and then I started talking to you, and oh, okay. But it was just kind of funny when and in our 30s, I'm going, oh my god, you've known each other that long.
Yeah.
And I'm also
I
still
might have
in my
been.
30s, so the heck with you.
Yeah, I might have been like 19 or 20 when I first met you, so you weren't that far off with my age. Some people are off the mark completely.
Yeah, because I've been there. I'm also one of those annoying people that look a lot younger than they actually were, and I showed up at 17, and people were literally like, "Is your mom and your dad here? Get out!" I'm like, I'm 17, man. Yeah, sure you are, punk. Get down the steps. So but that was weird because when I was before I called you today, I was thinking, well, called you, zoomed you, I should say. I was saying, let me look
Yeah.
at I'm gonna look up some of her older interviews with people and see what the situation, see what she talked about, so I don't ask her the same dumb questions. And I don't want to say the questions were dumb. I was just speaking in terms of I don't want to ask. It's like when this person is promoting a movie and they go, "So I understand, Rock, that you used to be a wrestler."
Yeah.
Right. And in doing so, I saw some of the interviews, good stuff. But I also ran across the YouTube videos of stand up from when you started.
Oh,
Yeah.
where'd you find them?
You see, I'm 52 years old, and the only people that have videos of me when I started is the person talking to you on the phone, is talking to you on the show right now.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to ask you is because you've been doing it for a long time now, and you've been good for a long time. So obviously now you don't think about it. You just write the joke. You know how to write a joke. You know how to pace a show. You know how to make people laugh. You know how to get the applause breaks and all of that. But when you go back and you look at the beginning, have you actually gone? Because I could. By the way, you sounded shocked right now. Uh, it sounds like you have not perused the Mollie Sperduto vault.
Not like the early years, but I actually, one of my pandemic projects was trying to go through this huge pile of videos that and try to go through them to see if there's any material I can clip up and like put up on YouTube, anything I can put together for a reel, things I probably should have done more consistently over the past many years. But I did wind up looking at gigs from as early back as like 2014, and I think there's a couple even older than that I still haven't looked at yet.
There are.
Oh yeah, I believe it. But the thing being is that I do look at them, and part of me goes, good God, I need to apologize and thank every person that ever took the time to book me back then, because achi machi. But at the same time, I'm like looking at them going, I want to have the same reaction to these videos, or I want to have the same reaction to my videos nowadays in about 5-6 years from now than I am having at my videos from 2014, if that makes sense. I phrase that really weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I never want to settle. So I do want to look at these videos of these shows that I'm having today that I think I'm killing it at. And I want to look at them one day and go, man, I could have done so much better. Like, I'm so glad that I've improved. You know, I want to have that same feeling, because I feel like now I look at a lot of the stuff that I've done lately and I'm proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
wait a
but
second.
I don't want to
hold it a second. You mean to tell me you look at the recent stuff's good? I was really good last week. Of course you were.
Well, one of the videos I finally took a look at was one of my last shows right before the pandemic. Because I mean, as evidenced by the fact that I still have a lot of old stuff up, apparently, I need to update my material online and have to figure out where to get it from. And so I'm like, all right, I'll sit down and watch this video. I put it off because it's a half-hour set that I was lucky enough to get, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to actually sit through watching myself on video for a half hour. But I was so happy with it. And I'm like looking, I'm like, I would almost put this entire clip up just as is if anyone cared to watch anything for 30 minutes at a time. But yeah, that's an example of it. But a lot of stuff, the older stuff is just kind of cleaning through and seeing what I've learned. And even if there was like a nugget of gold back then that I forgot that I told that I want to bring back to life, you know?
Oh, I go through boxes of stuff that I wrote, like, I mean, a long time ago. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, there's, I mean, and keep in mind, some of the stuff that I never actually performed, and I look at it, and I'm embarrassed at the words on the paper.
Yep.
It's like I'm sitting there going, "Oh God, I have a heater here, but if I had a fireplace, I'd be so tempted to kick that box into that fireplace. Yeah. Oops, did I kick that into the fireplace and say, the hell with this crap? Did I do that? You know, but oh, this is something I'm curious about, because I've never been married. I've lived with women and things of that nature, and but by the time they saw me, I was good at the job. But you have tapes, Jesus Christ. You have recordings.
I mean, probably tapes somewhere.
yeah, to tape the box closed, that you have recordings, and I'm curious. Now, were you already good when you met your husband, or were you still in that learning the technique phase?
I was still finding my voice a bit. So I had my good shows and my bad shows. I mean, well, everyone does, regardless of what level they're at. But my ratio of good shows to bad shows was still roll of the dice, have no idea how this show is going to turn out, can't even make a prediction kind of a thing. Luckily, the first show that he saw me at was one of my better ones. But I don't want to say that I was terrible, but I was definitely still in the process of figuring it out.
You know how we jokingly referenced a movie earlier in this show? I was just thinking about, here's another movie for you. The alternate universe movie where your husband goes to that show and the show sucks. And the awkward date afterward, because we've all been there, where someone you really like, oh, this person's special, yeah, I want this person to come to the show and see what I do. Yeah. And that, what would have probably happened then, because before he saw me do stand up, he did see me sing, because a couple of my friends and I were at an open mic night. I jumped in on and sang a song with one of them. And so he heard, and he was impressed by that. If comedy tanked after that, I probably would have
gone up to him afterward and been like, you know what? Just kidding. I'm not really a comedian. I'm a singer. Let's go back to this and live the rest of our lives exactly like this. Bye.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is an encouraging significant other or prospective being would be in the car. Yeah, that was pretty good. So you're a singer, right?
That's how the way that I know that a show went terribly is if someone comes up to me and doesn't even say a thing about my set and just compliments my hair.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I wear a red wig sometimes and I don't feel funny. Even if my show sucks, they'll talk about how nice my red hair is. I don't normally see black dudes with red hair, but that's pretty nice. Yeah, it is what it is. Now, last time we talked, you said that he if I remember correctly, he does not come to all. I mean, nobody goes to all the shows, but you've been married forever. He's not coming to all the shows. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's never. Once a person's been with you about a year, they're like, "Look, I love you, right? Great. I'll be at the house."
Oh yeah.
You tell me how it is, but don't tell me if the game's still on. You wait till the game's over, and then you can tell me exactly what the thing. But has he seen the tapes that you're referring to, the old tapes? Is this one of those sit on the couch next to each other watching the tapes, or you go, yeah, why don't you wait outside, buddy? I need to do this myself.
I mean, as I've just been reminded, they're readily available online somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that at some point he's probably gotten bored and went down a rabbit hole. But have I ever willingly presented them to him?
Mm-hmm.
No. Sometimes I'll show him clips of things that I actually particularly enjoyed or thought were funny, but I not anything older just for the sake of showing him what it was.
Mm-hmm. Because you said, if I remember correctly, you said that because I know obviously part of this too. This is like there's the corporate spouse, there's the person that the lady's the CEO, the guy's the CEO, and they have the meetings and everybody. It's very. You hang out with the other business people, the entrepreneurs, and your spouse comes and hangs out, and they do that kind of thing. And in comedy, spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends are exactly the same way, insofar as they will show up, watch the show, and then they kind of become part of that clique of friends, and it's it always cracks me up when you could tell which person, boyfriend or girlfriend, not spouse because they've already been married. You can tell which ones are just not going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
Because that's a tough table to sit with a bunch of comics and veteran comedy spouses who now figured out how to fit into that with their own sense of humor as well. And if I remember correctly from our last talk, he does not do the hangout thing.
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he's coming to a show
mm-hmm.
and we're hanging out afterwards, he will come with us.
Mm-hmm.
But there have to be a lot of stars aligned because A, that means he has to be coming to a show.
Mm-hmm.
B, that means that I have to have been invited somewhere after the show with the comics.
Mm-hmm.
C, that means I have to agree to go out with the comics afterwards. And, because most of the time I'm game, but if I got a long drive or, anything else under the sun, if I'm already really tired, if it's late, whatever. And then the last part is he comes with me. So it's only happened maybe a handful of times.
Yes, he is a veteran comedy significant other.
Yes.
The new people, for some reason, feel like they have to go to everything. It's like, you really don't. I mean, I know you don't want to be here for this. You don't have to do this. But here's another question. Does his beard come to the show with him?
Occasionally. Right now, he doesn't have one.
He got rid of that?
For now. And, that's a decision that he'll have to live with for, 2-3 whole minutes.
Mm-hmm. I just because I just remember before I think it was the first time we had, you were on the show. I was like, hey, let me look up and see, check out Mollie's page and see what the deal is. See if there's some some interesting travel things because you were running all over the place there for a while. Are you still traveling like that? I mean, before the pandemic, obviously.
Um, Mostly throughout like New Jersey more than anything else,
Mm-hmm. No, I mean,
but not like vacation traveling.
yeah, because I was like, what the hell is it? You running from the law or something? What the hell's going?
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did a couple of like fun Europe things, but that has not happened since college.
Mm. That's an interesting thing too. A lot of people kind of get that out of the way during that period to get all the traveling in, and then old person life sets in. Get into your 30s, like you and me 20 years ago.
So old.
And then those kind of things happen. But I was always curious about that because, because you also, and that's the other thing you were doing that was it the mud run?
Oh, and as soon as I feel like being around people in that much mud again, I'm definitely going to be continuing to do that. That's not a thing that's stopped yet.
Yeah, I was always curious about that because I used to see people. There was another group of people that I'd be driving down the road and they'd be covered in 7 or 8 colors.
Oh, yeah, those are I think probably the original one was the color run,
Mm-hmm.
where it's basically a 5K, and at different stations they have this colored powder stuff that they'll
Mm-hmm.
throw and wave onto you, and um sometimes it looks nice and sometimes you sweat and then it melts onto you, and sometimes the colors mix and you just look like a weird shade of purple brown. But
It was just really because I'm sitting there going, it's pretty much self-explanatory when you look at the people. You're going, obviously each station has a different color and da da da.
yeah,
But so you were a runner like that.
runner is a broad term for what I do. Um, I try to run, but for anyone looking on, it just kind of looks like I'm dancing to an invisible 80s song.
Ah,
But I try.
because I was curious because some people, they really, and some people that I actually know too, just love it. I mean, they have to run. Oh my god, I got this 5K and then I have a 7K. Then I'm going to run. I have a half marathon. I'm going to run, and then a triple marathon. I'm going to run. I'm going to calm down, bro. you know, but also, and then you have the gym rats. Are you a gym rat as well?
I don't like gyms. If I'm going to work out, I'm going to do it in the privacy of my own home where no one can watch me. Um, which I do fairly regularly, but I I do it on my own time in my own way. I do not like being around other people and doing that.
I can relate. I just got a total gym myself. I don't need the rest of it. I just got one. I'm sitting. It's actually to my right now. I just don't need. I mean, most of it is basically the pandemic. I mean, even though I've been vaccinated, I still. It's amazing how it changes the way you thought. Because back in the day, you'd go to the gym, somebody sweat on the machine, just go, I'll wipe it off. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, burn this.
Yeah, exactly.
Now in the whole gym, burn it down. You can rebuild it in 6 months. Get it out of here. Now, how many comics do you think, in your universe of comedy, the people that you have to pick from
Hmm.
to do your shows? So, obviously, you do a lot of shows. No, let me back up for a moment.
Okay.
This is we moved the pandemic out of the way. Say 6 months from now, or before the pandemic, where you're actually doing shows at the same time. How many would you have going simultaneously? Would you say?
Um, the most I've had is three.
Mm-hmm. Is that
Um,
yeah? Is it
hmm?
is it difficult keeping track of that? Because the most I've ever had booked for a show, one.
um, I don't know. That three show night was like it was an exhilarating weekend for me. I love that, and I would love to have more of that.
Mm.
Um, keeping track of it wasn't that difficult. I mean, I am a little crazy as far as like Excel sheets and organizational systems go.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it all there so that I don't have to keep it in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it was just, I don't know. It was fun to me. I can't really justify it any other way, but I had that weekend and, talked to everyone, set everything up, had all the shows going, had everyone texting me, telling me how everything was going, keep them posted, and then debriefing the next day, and then just kicking back and relaxing, knowing that I just had a really full weekend and it was a lot of fun. I would do that again in a heartbeat.
It's like it sounds to me like someone who goes from a middle class life. You get to be a millionaire you can be a millionaire and be what a millionaire is from Friday to Sunday. You go back to your regular life on Monday. You're like, do I have to go back? I mean, I like my life, but this whole yacht thing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm curious about, not just for you, but for just in general, as far as the comedy world is concerned, because everybody has seemed to adjust themselves as much as they can to the pandemic by doing Zoom shows. Obviously, the shows outside. That's basically just regular comedy. But
right.
Podcasts and things of that nature. Obviously, I was doing podcasts for 16,000 years, but that's a different story. But I'm curious. I'm just very curious as to, because I know you did virtual shows as well, correct?
Yes.
Now, would you incorporate that at the same rate? Because obviously, you seem to enjoy having these shows going at the same time, 2 shows, 3 shows, and now you can actually have virtual shows. Do you think you will incorporate that more? Because essentially it makes people that are geographically undesirable geographically desirable.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to keep them into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
It really just depends on demand, though, who wants to have one and who's sick of Zoom, the latter of which is almost everyone and their mother. But like you said, there are a couple of those Zoom shows that I had were shows where people literally around the world were able to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of neat how you don't have to, how all the limits are gone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about distance traveling. You don't have to worry about the size of the room, even if you were originally doing a show in a room that didn't seat more than 60 people and 70 want to come, now they can.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I love the fact that I can wrap up a show on Zoom by saying goodnight, everyone, and closing my laptop lid and meandering downstairs with my whiskey to just finish it on the couch and not have to worry about cleaning up sound equipment, not have to worry about driving an hour. So there's a lot of advantages and a couple of beauties to that make me hope that Zoom shows don't entirely go away. I look forward to the return of regular live shows and have that become the norm again, but I'd like to see a mix.
Yeah, but how do you think with obviously Zoom is the one that's on front of mind because it actually exploded obviously during the pandemic, as everyone knows.
Right.
But with so many different things in social media that are available to us now, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, hell, live on Twitter, Clubhouse, Spotify Green Room, and all these other kind of things. I mean, with those being available to you, do you see yourself making use of any of those things?
I would like to. I mean, pandemic aside, another thing that I've kind of looked over as far as how to better myself as a performer, I could probably stand to up my social media game a bit in general, which would amount to more consistent posting all around. And also kind of figuring out where I want to put my efforts, because there are so many different, as you said, there's so many different places where you can have a social media presence, but unless you have a social media department or a social media manager, you're not going to excel at them all as a single human being. So kind of picking my battles and figuring out where I want to be visible and how I want to be visible, and what I want to use, whether it's using a mix of live video or posting, being the person that posts funny pictures all the time, or just slinging one-liners, or a combination of them. I'm trying to figure out what works best for me and what I want to try and where I want to try it. So roundabout way of answering your question there, but I'd like to do more of that.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, it's a very difficult thing, because I have 3 Twitters, 3 Facebooks, 2 Instagrams, Clubhouse, Spotify Green. I mentioned the stuff that I was using.
Yeah.
It is a huge pain in the buttocks sometimes, because I mean, it's like as much content as you can create at the highest level, these things will vacuum it up. It's like you and you almost are in a situation where you have to repurpose certain things, because some of these things are, I mean, there's some crossover, but there's also certain things where the audience is completely different. So obviously you can get away with repurposing things. But if you have the same audience across 5 different things, you can't, hey, that guy in politics, this, that, this, and this. You said that on Twitter, bro. You heard that already. And you wind up stuck there.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, even though people follow you in certain places, they favor one channel over the others. Oh. So again, you do social media way more than I do, so I could just be talking out my head right now. And you may have already thought of this and already decided that it was wrong, but I've heard the counter argument that putting material out, even if it's a couple days apart or even a couple weeks, recycle something to see. Maybe if you missed me posting this on Facebook, now you can see it on Twitter and enjoy it the same way that people did on Facebook. Or maybe you saw it on Facebook and forgot about it, and now you're reminded about it, and now you're laughing again. So what do you think? Because you do this more than I do.
I've come to find that people, even if very similar to what you were speaking of right there. I was half joking in the statement, to be honest with you. But the thing is, what happens is people tend to like you where they found you. If they found you on Twitter, even if they have you, even if they follow you in other places, they like you on Twitter. That's where they're comfortable with you. That's why a lot of times, if you post something on social media where you expect them to go to someplace else, a lot of times they don't do it. The people that really, really, really love you to death and really, really, really love your content, they'll click through to anything. They'll click right on through. You'll put up your post and they'll immediately click through. A lot of people go, "Oh, that's great," and they'll hit a like, but they won't. But they won't do the click through. Because and it's not a problem. It's just the way it is. It's like, let's be honest. Like you said, spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends don't come to all the shows. They live with you. I mean, they don't need, they're not going to go to the shows. They support you in other ways. And that's the same thing with social media. They will, they'll retweet and reblog and repost. But sometimes, I think maybe 10-20% of the time, maybe they'll click through to the other thing. They like you where they found you. And usually what happens, if you have someone that literally consumes the product that you really want them to consume, they come to the shows, or they'll download this or they download that. You usually find them someplace else and then bring those people back to the social media. But remember, they found you at the content. So those people will always click back through because they came from the content. That's what I've noticed over the past 12 years. And it just keeps, and it's one of those things that it's one of those things where it just like hydrogen, H2O, you get water. No matter, you always get water. hydrogen, oxygen, you're going to get water. And it's the same thing with social media. It's going to be about 10-20% of people that really love you that'll click through. And it's nothing to be bothered about. It's just, that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. That's just the way it is.
Exactly.
I was about to break into song just now.
I wouldn't have stopped you.
And I don't have my piano with me, and also the ability to play it.
Hate when I leave the ability to play piano at home.
Yeah, it was next to my wallet on my desk, and maybe, I think maybe my grandnephew knocked it on the floor somewhere else. When I sweep up, I'll find it. Now, how many comics do you is in your universe of comedy currently? Obviously, you don't know the exact number because there's going to be people coming in and dropping off, but the universe. Of
yeah, the best I can say is triple digits.
Mm-hmm.
I know that accounts for a really wide range, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, even if let's say I'm booking a show and I go through every single comedian I've ever known,
Mm-hmm.
and no one can do it. Let's not get into your excuses for why you can't do it, but
Mm-hmm.
there are a number of comics.
Did you guys hear her just attack me just now? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear her viciously attack me? I'm having her on my popular show, and yet she still viciously attacks me. This is wrong. That's it. Ginger Ninja, I'm challenging you from Coco Kickboxer Productions.
But let me ask you, are your ribs okay?
No, not really. Well, my ribs are pretty good. I'm only 52 hours. I'm not like that old guy you dang on near killed.
But so yeah, like even if no one I knew could do the show, there are a number of comics that I trust implicitly enough that I could call them and say, this is the kind of show that I'm doing. I can't find anyone to do it. Who else do you know? And then my network would continue to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's no real number, but I would imagine that it's somewhere in the hundreds.
I'd have to assume so.
Yeah.
Because you. But what is your? I mean, I'm assuming obviously you're in New Jersey, so your primary area would be New Jersey. But how big of a circle do you draw on the map?
Like with Ginger Ninja or as a performer?
First Ginger Ninja, then performer.
Ginger Ninja, I have not really left New Jersey with it. There's nothing stopping me. I haven't tried to actively market outside of New Jersey because the state is keeping me quite busy. But if someone from, say, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania stopped and said, hey, can you do a show for me? There's nothing stopping me from saying no. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, the only, other than that,
Well,
I guess with them, with Ginger Ninja,
that's a big
state.
You don't have to.
And being, yeah, and being where I'm at too, I'm pretty centrally located in the state where I can get to the south about as quickly as I can get to the north.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know, for some reason, I think I have Stockholm syndrome with New Jersey. I just love the place. I love driving around and discovering all these little weird pockets of the state that I would not have discovered otherwise, just because I'm on my way to a show or a gig or a meeting or some other kind of event. Just so I don't know what it is about New Jersey, but I love it. And even if I never get a gig outside of the state, I probably wouldn't complain.
Let's not gloss over this. I like driving in New Jersey that you just said.
It's not all traffic, actually.
Oh, remember who you're talking to here. You're talking to somebody who very well knows New Jersey, and I tolerate driving in New Jersey. Okay? And you literally I love driving in New Jersey. Right there, I'm sensing that there's something wrong.
The county roads are my favorites. The county roads are, for the most part, quite beautiful.
Well, I'll give you that. That I'll give you.
Yeah,
I will give you that. But when you said I love driving in New Jersey, anybody who's listening to this, and there's a lot. Yeah, I got a lot of listeners in the area. Yeah, they're probably going. She's probably setting. It's probably here comes the punchline. She's setting up a bit.
No, I get that, because I mean, by saying I love driving in New Jersey, I'm not talking about like Route 70 or Route 9 or the Parkway or the Turnpike. Because yeah, those are kind of nightmares most of the time. But usually, I mean, I will set my GPS to no toll roads, no highways, just to see like the most completely out there route that it can take me to wherever I'm going, if I have the time, if I'm not, in a rush and have to get somewhere on time. But just to see the little, like I said, the little pockets of the state that you wouldn't otherwise find yourself, because that's what interests me.
That is actually very, very true of pretty much the entire, when I say tri-state area, it's a little wider than that. But when you go into the little, even in Pennsylvania,
I believe that.
You done places that end. Places that end in Berg and Ville. I used to call it the Bergville tour. In Pennsylvania, I used to do the Pennsylvania Bergville tour. But it's the same thing in New Jersey. Like you said, little counties, little townships, these little places. They're and they tend to have really super duper nice people. And because every time I've gone there, it was just, the level of politeness from a person who was raised in Philadelphia. I had to get over being suspicious.
Yeah.
Well,
I get that.
Yeah, it's like, we have to watch this guy who is smiling. What's wrong with him? And I actually had that conversation. It was a friend of mine, also from Philly, and we're standing there and we're doing shows, and these people were just it was like June Cleaver level nice, one of those old shows from the 50s, whatever. And we're looking at these people like, what the hell I do not trust this. I'm not believing this. I'm gonna go see if my car is burned or tires are on it or something. And they were just nice. It's like, and I'm sitting there going, I think we basically. I was like, I just couldn't believe it. And now that we've gone through the Ginger Ninja circumference of jokes, now how big is the Mollie Sperduto circumference of jokes? How far do you feel comfortable going? And I know Philadelphia is included because that's where we met.
Exactly. On the regular, again, there's probably no place I would really say no to. As long as, I mean, if you're gonna, make me drive up to, say, Maine for 9 hours, then the pay would have to be nice. Yeah. But other than that, most of the shows that I do, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, occasionally Delaware. But even if I know a couple years ago, it was like almost 10 years ago at this point, I took a trip out to San Francisco, and while I was out there, tried to look up any open mics or any shows going on in the area that I could get a spot on. So I did a couple shows out there just for the heck of it. And that is kind of the nice thing about traveling in comedy, at least, in the 21st century, where if I'm planning a vacation and I feel like getting some stage time, you can always just Google where the local shows are and find, Facebook groups of comedians in the area, and be able to figure out a way to get some work and quote unquote be on the road, even if you're on vacation.
That is the funniest thing. That's what's good about the job. That's what's good about the job of comedy, because I'm pretty sure no pharmaceutical rep is going to Google.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to sell some of these pills, these heart pills and these foot pills. I'm going to be in your area. Is there anybody I could? That's the weird thing. Now, when you have a large circle of comics and comedy friends and people like myself who you viciously attack. I was wondering, And I will be doing the shows. I just have to get back on stage and knock off some rust.
Go for it.
Okay. Can't believe I'm getting attacked. So anyway,
I look forward to your triumphant return.
Oh, now she's trying to be nice. You believe this, guys? Don't try to be nice now. But I'm assuming because you have your profiles out there and people are aware of Engineered Productions, you've been doing it for a while. You have got to be getting links. Obviously, not tapes because it's not 1987. Links to to things, and when I don't see, how am I want to ask this in a way so I don't make us both sound like bad people, but it has to be asked. You get links to shows. What percentage of them absolutely blows? Don't answer that. But what I'm saying is, yeah. I wasn't going to let you answer that. If you did answer it, I would have cut it out. When you get to, I was like, I put you in a bad position on purpose just for the joke. Like I said, I wouldn't put you out there like that. But when you get, do you get? Are you still getting flooded with a lot of recordings? Because I know that as the person who books lots of places, they've got to be sending you a lot of things.
I don't get that much from people looking to be considered for my shows. Mm-hmm. I am much more often contacted by people who regularly do my shows looking to see if I have spots open for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, with that number, you really don't even really need new people per se. I mean, you may use new people, but I don't think you probably don't need new people, do you?
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, and don't have to tell you this, but there's way more comics out there than there are places to put them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just want to commend you on the very, very good, what's her name? Jen Psaki. The very, very good, the press secretary for the president, who's very good and adept at not being caught with gotcha questions. She also ginger ninjas it up when she gets hit with those questions. So I understand the president who hates America. They come with these stupid questions. I know President Biden who thinks America blows and hates everybody. How badly does he hate America? And she's very, she finds a way to answer the question without getting in trouble. And you did the same thing, even though, like I said, if you had said something, I would have cut that crap out immediately.
Much appreciated.
I've only had to edit out things 5 times, and 3 of the 5 times the person called me back. Yes, that thing I said about my wife. I said, dude, I cut it out already. Go, oh, thank God, bro. Thank you. It was funny, but I just realized that she wouldn't find it funny, and I needed you to I would have contacted you. Molly, obviously I was joking when I said that about how many people, what percentage of people stink that send you tapes. Obviously from 1987. Do you want me to cut that out? That would have been the next. That would have been the next phone call or text you would have gotten, just in case, just so you know. So
much appreciated.
Yeah. So now, things are I want before we get out of here, I just want to ask you this: Do you find that the comedy that because obviously you probably want to make sure that the comedy's clean. I mean, you're not going to have a non-profit organization or a fundraiser with a guy doing 25 minutes on his junk, right? So not that, but there are some organizations that want an adult rated show. So it's not necessarily always clean. Mm-hmm. No, okay. Now, what percentage would you say? Because of the things that I've done of that, golf clubs, corporate type things, we need this to be very, very clean. And some people, like you said, some people will. I think I maybe had 2 or 3 most who wanted a quote adult show, but I was like, nah, you're getting the clean version. I'm not. I don't. you know, I'm not going to take any risks here. I'm going to keep it clean. But when they say adult show, they have to have some kind of parameters. And like I said, using the example that I just used with a guy going, another thing about my stuff, huh? Yeah. You know, that I think that goes beyond adult at that point. But what percentage would you say of people that want more of a, a little naughty, more of a risque show?
Um, well, I don't, would you count as far as, I mean, they are fundraisers, but would you count like the VFW and the Firehouse shows under the charity shows that you're thinking of, or are they in a different category for you?
Oh, truth be told, they would probably be in a different category because virtually every one of those that I've been on, I made it a point to not curse or do anything, but the people in front of me did not hold true to that. You know, and
Yeah,
they,
because
they
I did. I did one of those, and the comments that some of them put on the comment cards made me blush more than anything any comedian has ever said on stage.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are fun crowds.
Yeah, if you walk into those places, uh, I mean, sometimes you can just kind of look around and go, tamp it down a little bit, you know.
Right, right.
And sometimes you go up there going, I might as well just take my pants off. I'm out, do that Jim Carrey thing with the butt. 'Cause I can already see. I'm looking. I'm already seeing what's going on here. I know what this is going to be. So that's the kind of thing I was talking about there. Ah, uh, so
As far as not including them, the percentage does get smaller. So you are right about that. Trying to even think. It's been a while since I've had to rack my brain for this. Um, I mean, for a majority of them,
mhm.
if I recall, a lot of them are mostly like, you don't have to keep it clean, but keep it PG-13. And if you skew across into, something more adult, just don't overdo it.
Mhm.
So they want to keep it, reasonable, but they're also usually pretty forgiving, especially if the comic's already doing a good job before reaching that territory.
That's right. Do a great job and keep the filth in your closing bit.
Yeah.
Before I go, everybody, F bomb, F bomb, F bomb, yeah, F bomb, F bomb. Thank you. Good night. He was fine for 52 minutes. Then all of a sudden,
And all of a sudden
he did
his batteries ran out.
he did 8 minutes of F bombs. I don't know why he did that. It was just. I've only seen something like that one time. Like I'm sitting there going, I forgot the guy's name. He wasn't a famous guy, but he did a 45-minute set. 42 minutes of it was squeaky deaky. You could take it and just chop it in little bits and just randomly throw it on television programs. You could run his act on morning television, but the last 3 minutes, and you're sitting there going, why?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? I can understand wanting to shock people. I mean, if you threw a little F bomb in there somewhere in the character, I get it. There's a little shock piece at the end, but it was almost like he went from Jerry Seinfeld to some dude, to some guy who does bar gigs for a living back in the '80s. And another thing about my stuff, I put it in and I push it, the thing and the stuff, and you're going, oh my! The whole audience is going. I'm in the back. I'm laughing hysterically in the back because I wasn't on that show, thank God. And I was just hanging out with some friends, but that was just kind of funny. So after the show, after the program is over with, you get feedback from the comics. Obviously, I mean, like you said earlier in the show that they text you.
Right.
What do you get? I'm assuming it's obviously you're still in business and you're doing well, so obviously you're getting positive feedback. But what is the worst thing that someone has said? Because I'm assuming it has to have happened at least once, where someone just probably early on, because as you get better at it and you've been around for a long period of time, you become more efficient and you weed out the people that are going to do those type of things, or they weed themselves out. But have you ever had one of those post-show phone calls or texts where someone just, went a little crazy, went a little too far, went a little nuts?
I don't know.
Because I would not be surprised if you didn't have that, mainly because by the time you start booking your comics, you know them already.
Yeah.
And they know you. And if you're doing a show for somebody that you know and you like, it's just like anything else. You want to do a good job for them. And you want to do a good job for yourself artistically from an ego standpoint and from an artistic standpoint, but you also realize you don't want to mess it up for your friend.
Right.
So you've been pretty clean as far as that is concerned. You haven't had to deal with that kind of crap, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a complaint when every so often if, someone says something that offends someone and they want to make their opinion known.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of par for the course in comedy, regardless of how careful you try to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky so I always just try to put comment cards out, at least in pre-COVID times, because right now I don't really want to, well, I don't know, I could probably let them back in, but for a while I'm like, I don't want to put these out because then you're touching my pens, you're touching everything. I don't want to touch it now. So keep your comments to yourselves. But the comment cards were really, if anyone had something that some immediate reaction that they wanted to complain about, they could do it on the comment card so that I didn't have to deal with an angry email later where they let everything out, because the comment cards have a teeny tiny little space on it. So they can't really complain that much. So unless they write me a comment across 3 comment cards.
And that's scary when you see that.
So there was my favorite. Okay, so there was one guy that apparently had something to say about me. In addition to, he just did not like this show that I had put on. It was not his cup of tea. So he was rambling on and on about the things he didn't like about it, and went comic by comic, and he took the entire front and back of this comment card, and on the back of it, it said, it was his note for me, the MC. He goes, "MC, please talk less. Sorry." And I'm like, you're the first person in Ginger Ninja history who's had to use both sides of the comment card, and you want me to talk less?
Mm-hmm. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? A little too ironic.
So that's probably my story.
Well, as you just heard, of the two of us, there's only one singer, and it's not me on this show. And
that was a lovely Alanis Morissette tune.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick up my phone and there's gonna be a text from our lawyer. Never do that again. The funny thing is, essentially, what you just had was Troll, the live show.
Yeah.
He's like, I like to travel the world and troll people for no reason and be mean to strangers for no reason. Because if you really don't like something and you don't have to do it again, you know what you do? You shut up and you go home.
Exactly.
I feel like making someone feel bad for no reason. That says more about that person. And also, I want to apologize for writing that much on the card. I didn't realize it was you guys, and if I'd have known that, I would have not done that. I'm just, we didn't know each other well back then, so I just wanted to say. No, I was kidding, obviously.
It's to make up for the fact that I spent so much of this podcast attacking you. Yeah, I get it.
Well, the thing is, I feel good because at least I don't have to go to the hospital like that old guy you almost finished off. So I need you to promise me something. Obviously, I'm going to have you on the show again, but I need you to do me a favor.
Sure.
1, keep the body count down.
No promises.
Okay. See what I'm saying, guys? See what I'm saying? That's why she says Ginger Ninja. It was just kind of. Is that really Molly that's attacking that old man? I can't tell. Look at the hair, bro. That's her. Okay, and we have completed this episode. And I want to thank you for coming on again. As always, it's great talking to you. It was great talking to you when we met at we have our pre-show conversations at the Spaghetti. Enjoyed the first episode with you on, and I enjoyed this one even more. And yes,
likewise,
you have no choice. You got to come back again. The Coco Kickboxer has spoken. I'm already
looking forward to it.
The Coco Kickboxer has spoken. And I'm gonna link up your website onto the show notes so people can check you out, so they can find your schedule and everything like that.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
All right, Mollie, thank you for coming on. We will talk, and I appreciate you coming on. And as like I said, it was great talking to you.
It's always great talking to you.
All right, take care, my friend.
You too.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, now that was fun, wasn't it? Told you. What did I tell you? Have I failed you yet? No. Will I fail you? Also no. Thanks again for all your support. Much love to everybody, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.